Okay, again, welcome everyone. This is Jerry Godero with Global Scanning and Colortrac Scanners, and I'm here with our large format Colortrac scanning experts, Fred Pagani. Welcome, Fred, of course, as well as Todd Robinson from Paradigm Imaging. Welcome, Todd.
I was doing great, right?
And so we have a number of questions that everyone may have seen on the invitation. So I think the first question that was posed was, how do I load and access the Twain driver using products such as Adobe Photoshop or something like that?
All you have to do is install the utilities for that specific scanner model, and some scanner models support the Twain interface. So if you have a model that has that and you've installed the utilities like the SCI scanners and such, you would go to that Twain application and you would just say, open, Twain device, and then it should see the utilities as a Twain option. And then when you say get scan, it opens up the Twain. It's a very simplistic Twain, but it gets the job done.
Gotcha. And so that's that Twain driver is included with the SmartWorks software, or how's that?
It's included again in the utilities. Nothing to do with the scan software. It's separate. It's the scanner hardware utilities, the utilities that you use to calibrate the scanner.
Gotcha.
Embedded in that is a Twain app, but you never see it at all. You have to call it from a Twain software.
Oh, gotcha. So you would actually use, like they were asking about the Adobe Photoshop, you could use almost any small format desktop scanning software or Twain scanning software.
Yeah, it just has to have, it's just the software graphics program just has to support Twain.
Gotcha.
So there's many different ones out there. You can download free software that will give you the Twain compatibility as well.
Sure. I think the lowest common denominator would be pretty much, every PC comes with Microsoft Scanner and Camera. I think that qualifies as a Twain scanning.
Yes,
software.
that would probably work. Yes.
Okay. And then let's see. So then our next question was, when I transitioned from Windows 7 to Windows 10, my SmartWorks Pro dongle no longer lights up. What should I do?
Yeah, so that's all about the driver for the dongle. So when you go to a different operating system, you have to locate, download, and install a newer version of what's called the HASP driver, HASP driver.
Gotcha.
That driver is specifically for the USB dongle. And once you do that update and reboot the PC, you plug that USB dongle in and it should actually light up. There's an internal light. And that's basically your indicator that everything should be working.
The driver's connected now that they've upgraded, and that everything sees everything, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, very good. The other question I had, let's see, how do I get the tablet app for SmartWorks Imaging? So I think they're just asking about where to download it, right? So it would be
it's part of SmartWorks Imaging, and what you can do is install it, and then there's a file, or you can find information on how to use it. You just kind of call that option up. You have to have a little tablet, like an iPad or something like that, and you would install that on that iPad and then link the iPad to your scanner software, kind of thing.
Okay, and then so that's working essentially as a remote for the
exactly. Instead of using your PC, you'll use your tablet to initiate scans. And with the scanners, we give you a convenient little tablet holder that you can put on the lid of the scanner, so it's right there. So when you feed documents in, you can just initiate the scan straight from the tablet.
Oh, gotcha. So you have like a stand for the
exactly
for the tablet,
it comes
and it's right on
with
the
scanner. Yep.
And so that seems like that would keep the operator from having to kind of do those 90-degree turns constantly, or at least for
Exactly.
interaction. Maybe
Exactly.
for still moving the paper, right? But just not the extra turns for the software.
Exactly. Quick connect for starting scans right there in front of you.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, so let's see. So there's another question. When using SmartWorks Imaging, is it better to connect my printer through the Windows driver or through the Colortrac printer driver?
Well, the SmartWorks Imaging does have embedded drivers for, lots of different printer models, but the basic idea is we should be able to work with any printer that does have a Windows driver. The embedded drivers seem to get a faster copy experience, if you will.
Okay.
But it will work just as well with just using a Windows driver for a given printer.
Gotcha. So it sounds like we've got all the direct drivers for just about everything that's out there, and that will, like you said, when it comes to doing a copy or a rip or something like that, that's most efficient.
Yes, exactly.
And then should there not be a direct driver, we have the ability to utilize any Windows driver installed on the PC that we're running on, and that would not suffer any any degradation,
No noticeable degradation whatsoever. So if, again, when you look through the list of drivers that are embedded, if your scan or your printer model's not there, you just have to go and install the driver for that printer, the Windows driver for that printer, and you're good to go.
Gotcha. And it sounds like probably most, especially large format printer drivers, are probably going to be there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't have them for all, you know what I mean?
And that's where we've got the backup.
That's the catch-all.
Windows.
Exactly.
I've got a couple more questions from my list here. Let's see. And then so they're asking, what compression levels and choices do I have for multi-page scanning using touch versus SmartWorks imaging software? Fred, you're muted.
Yeah, muted again. Duh.
Sorry.
SmartWorks Touch is the free software.
Okay.
So it basically is what it is. You can't really change compression for a given file format. SmartWorks Imaging allows you to change the compression for different file formats. So that's the difference between Touch and SmartWorks Imaging.
And then does Touch even have multi-page support at all?
Yes, it does.
Oh, it does.
It actually
Okay.
does support multi-page PDF and TIFF, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And then so that would just be whatever standard, group 4 or uncompressed that it's automatically using in that software, and multi-page support. And then versus SmartWorks Imaging, where you have the ability to, is still the same two formats supported in that one?
Yeah, TIFF and multi-page PDF.
And then the difference in this instance is that you have a little more control of the compression ratio.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Is ICC profiling included in the SmartWorks imaging software?
Currently, there really isn't a way to do that. But as I'm told, we are going to, at some point, add that option in the software. SmartWorks Pro does have the ability to create an ICC profile of the scanner and the printer using, the embedded SmartWorks Pro profiling option.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So, but SmartWorks Imaging does not have that ability right now.
At the moment, maybe that's a little.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking something that they're seeing for us.
I do have one thing to add. One of my dealers sold an odd installation that I almost was stumped on, but reached back into my archives. Somebody was plugging their new SCI 36 scanner into a Microsoft Surface tablet.
Okay.
I said, "What are you, a pro quarterback or something sitting on sidelines? Or can't you afford a real PC?" But this was a municipality, and that was the PC they had. It actually worked, but obviously the tablet function of not being plugged in didn't quite work. But when it was plugged in, worked great. They actually loaded the software, had to go around, since there's only one USB port, to download and plug in, and certain different things. They could not both be online and plug in the USB that the software was delivered on.
Okay.
So they downloaded it, loaded it from their internal drive, and plugged it back into their scanner, and it worked. So it was an odd application.
Yeah, really. So
Brad,
it
have you ever
sounds like,
run into that?
Yeah. I've actually, some employees here for the company that travel actually use a Surface Pro tablet, and they've been using all different kind of software applications that we provide. So it seems to work. It's just a different operating system. It's a Surface Pro version of Windows, if you will. And like you said, you don't have all the additional hardware ports, the USB ports and all. You can get it going and it seems to work fine. But obviously there's some limitations because of the
now with
Surface
something
Pro.
like that, would a port hub or splitter work with something like that?
I would think so. Yeah, you could probably plug in a USB port, hub and add other devices. That's kind of what I use with my laptop because there's only one port. But
Gotcha.
yeah, it should work.
Okay. Well, yeah, that is a very interesting application. I'm glad to know that we can support that. I know that predominantly it is Windows support, but I think usually everyone's asking about, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, and now Windows 11, but we have some Surface Pro. But that's something, it's certainly good to know that we support for that. And then, so Gary Gibson has a couple of questions, and I'd be happy to take this from you, Gary.
Okay, can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay, we have a SC25 Express that we're using for our newspaper digitization project.
Okay.
And once in a while, one of our we have scanners, and then we have different other volunteers doing different aspects of what we do. But we have over COVID, we just had one person doing scanning, and they were scanning a lot. In the middle of out of nowhere, all of a sudden, it stopped scanning a newspaper page. And he had to start over. And then he started over and scanned maybe 200 more pages. And then all of a sudden it hung up again. And then the next time he cleared it all, he had to start over, and it hung up after 10 times of trying to scan pages. So it's been erratic, but we don't know what's causing it.
Could be simply resources on that PC, without knowing more about the PC and how much RAM and all of that kind of thing and the operating system. It could simply be that PC runs out of resources at that time, and so there's not enough memory to allocate to the software in advance of a scan. So most times when you call up and start to set up a scan, we'll kind of grab memory that we think available memory and say, okay, we can do that. And we just grab the memory and we actually do the scan. But at some point, if your PC runs out of resources, you've got too many applications open, there's some update going on in the background, anything could happen. That's when you start to see things like that. It'll just stop for no reason whatsoever. Sometimes rebooting the PC and going back in will clear that up for a time. But it all depends on the PC, its characteristics, RAM and all of that, and processor and speed and all of those good things, and whether or not you have other open applications in the background running as well as the scan software. So,
okay, well, we had thought maybe that was what it was, but then we just use a dedicated computer just for the scanner, and it's a high-end computer. And what confused the issue was that it would go for like 1,000 pages before it would stop. So I said it wasn't consistent. And then other times it only go 10 pages and then stop.
Right. And I'm not sure, are you using, which software do you know? SmartWorks Pro, SmartWorks Imaging? Do you know what you're using? Because if you're using one of the older software programs, it could simply be the program itself.
Oh, not the computer.
Yeah, because we had many different free software programs available going back, 10 years or something like that. Those programs are legacy software, and we haven't changed them, and we're not going to change them. So the last version available is what it is. but those programs aren't as efficient for scanning as like SmartWorks Imaging.
Okay, our scanner's only 4 years old, I believe.
Okay.
So is that considered old? And we
No,
need to
no, not
update?
necessarily. Well, it's not the scanner. Again, it's the software. So there's software programs out that support that model, but that given software program, that software may be much older than the scanner. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. So
And
would
then-
we need a new dongle?
Well, if you have a dongle, that would imply you're using SmartWorks Pro or you're using SmartWorks Easy Touch. So I'm not sure, again, what software you have. I suspect it's probably a software thing. I don't know if you're using the latest and greatest version. If you're using SmartWorks Pro, probably to your advantage if you visit our website and actually download the latest version of SmartWorks Pro. That in itself may fix it up.
Okay,
Maybe
that's a good
there's
try.
a-
I think we can try that. And I have one more question.
Sure.
We had some of the rollers that in the back seemed like they frozen up, and we were going to exchange some from the edge, from the sides, and it looked like it was straightforward, but we
It's
didn't know
not,
how to
right?
do it, and we didn't
It's
do it.
not straightforward. Yeah.
I mean, what do we got to take apart to get in there? And it just seemed like, well, it should just snap it. One should snap out and snap in, but we couldn't get access to the top without taking it
Yeah,
all apart.
and
We
I-
didn't want to take it all apart.
And I guess you're referring to the passive idler rollers.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a way to get to them, but you have to take the top lid off, from the lid assembly,
Yeah.
which is kind of 4 screws, 2 on either side. You can just lift up the top lid, but that gives you access to the back side of those rollers. And those are kind of like press fits into the chassis. So you'd
Mhm.
have to pinch it to push it down to release it off the chassis, to remove it. But that's the way to do it. You have to remove the top cover.
So it's
lid.
okay if we try to do something like that and it doesn't avoid any warranty, or should we bring it in?
Doesn't unless you do something that you shouldn't have done. You know what I mean? I can't say that, but
Okay.
we normally don't encourage customers to open up the scanner to change hardware. It's much better if you have a trained service tech do that on your behalf, because they know what to stay, they know where to go out of bounds and where not to, where an end user may have the right purpose and are doing everything they think the right way, but maybe they do something wrong, which, negatively impacts something else in the scanner or its ability to do something else. So yeah, best to call a service tech to do that.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Sounds good.
And Gary, you're welcome to email us, any information you have that didn't come out, now, if you have version of the software, want to confirm that, or you can always just go to our website and download the latest updates for your software. That might probably take care of the software issue that Fred had mentioned.
Backs up again.
Sure. Well, I think certainly the best place to start is with the software update. It'd probably get you right ahead of it. Sounds like. And then those rollers, getting the rollers taken care of.
Yeah.
And we're going to actually have a contest. We have a Caesar scanner. And from what we can tell from we scan with the Colortrac, and then we have to optimize it. And the Caesar scans it and optimizes it is twice as fast as the Colortrac time we use. I didn't say that right.
Other way around.
No, with the Colortrac, it scans fast, but it's optimizing, and it's it's twice as fast. Our time, boy, I can't say this. It's faster with the Caesar overall.
And what scanner model is that again? You said Caesar, what?
Yeah, it's a CZUR.
Oh, CZUR. Okay. Not really familiar with that. I might have seen something, but off the top of the head, it's not clicking.
And
Todd should know though.
Yeah. So we're going to
Yeah.
have both scanners going regardless. And
And this is all going to be for the newsprint scanning archive.
yeah.
Gotcha. And the with the 25, you're probably doing half sheets. Is that right?
full newspaper sheets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's a CS25. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been involved in several similar kind of newspaper scanning installations and stuff, and some are pretty elaborate where document comes out of one scanner and flips over and goes back in or goes into a second scanner like seamlessly. So I've seen some pretty sophisticated setups for newspaper scanning.
Gotcha. And then, so now it looks like we also have a question from Perry regarding a SmartLF Scan scanner. Perry, are you out there?
Yep. Hey guys, thanks for taking my question. How are you
Sure.
today?
Good, thanks. How are you doing?
Good. So, located here in central New York. I'm a small land surveyor and with a small private office. And I have a SmartLF Scan. And I use it. I don't use it all the time. It's mainly just to record other plats, maps, and things like that that come into my possession, whether they're from another surveyor or from the county office building when I purchase file maps and things like that.
Gotcha. And that's a nice little scanner to kind of tuck away when you don't need it.
Exactly. I have it up at the top of my drafting table that doesn't get much use anymore, you know, at the full size drafting table, but we use it for scanning now, so that works out great.
Yeah, that drafting table would be a great scanning table.
Right. So a couple questions. I just have it set up basic right now to just feed my documents in, and it goes straight to a PDF. But I have never used any of the your software. And what would you recommend for that scanner?
Well, here's the deal, right? That scanner, that specific scanner, the SmartLF Scan scanners, they're self-contained units. So everything happens at the scanner. The scanner doesn't need any kind of PC to connect to start a scan. So it's a self-driven scanner. Now, you can download our software from our website, and you can use that to open and possibly edit those scans coming out of that scanner. But the scanner just makes scans, sends them out where you tell it to send, and that's it. You don't have preview, you don't have edit capability.
Right.
Unless you use a different, a PC that's not connected to the scanner. You get your scans to a USB from the scanner, transfer those USB files to a different PC that does have a graphics program or one of our software programs, because you can use any of our software programs just to edit scans and things like that. You don't have to have the scanner attached to use the software.
Great. Yeah, I actually do have it connected to my PC.
Oh, okay.
So the preview comes right up, and I can either accept it or reject it.
Oh, there you
nice.
go.
That's probably the best way to use it, because the software that's available for it is the ScanNet app, and that's going to perform exactly like the scanner does. You're kind of scanning blind. It's just it's taking it in. It's not until after you have the file that you can kind of see what's going on with the scan.
Right. And is it my lack of knowledge, or there's not much to that little app? Right?
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all. It's nothing. It doesn't do anything with the scans. You get no kind of adjustments or any kind of image processing whatsoever.
And for my needs, that's okay. That's fine. If I want to just make a backup copy of it, or if I have a client that comes in that wants to duplicate something, I can very easily do that.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess, so part B to my question is, occasionally I'll have lines that'll show up on the scanned image that are not on the survey map. And what is causing that? I've run the template through and follow those directions, and it doesn't seem to change anything.
Yeah, well, sometimes over time, just the fact that you're scanning paper continuously, that will cause scratches or marks on your scan glass. Some of them can be clean, some of them are permanent. Depends on how clean your originals are. Some might have some grit on them and that kind of thing. So you do want to, especially in your case, because you're only scanning every now and then. You're not like a service bureau scanning thousands of things a day. But in your case, it's best to, have a little cloth and wipe off that original before you feed it into the scanner. And to address the line issues on the scan, most likely it's just marks, streaks on the scan glass just from the action of paper going through continuously over and over again. So you would use some glass cleaner on a soft cloth, open up the scanner, There's latches on both sides that'll open up the scanner, allow you to get your hand in there, clean off the top surface of the glass, close it down firmly, and then run the calibration.
Right.
Okay, which is another key, because if you can clean those marks off the glass and you calibrate it, then the next scan should come in without any kind of streaks on your scan.
Yeah, the calibration sheet is what I was referring to. I didn't say it correctly, but yeah.
No, that's fine. We got you. But the other thing, and I think what Fred's also saying is that if it was calibrated with say a dirt line that's right in the scan area, you'll calibrate that into, and then it'll be there until the next calibration, even if that's cleaned off. So you want to get it nice and clean and then calibrate it and then do a nice test run.
Exactly.
Do I have time for one more question?
Sure.
Okay. Most of my survey maps that I scan are just on bond, from bond paper. Occasionally they're a color print, with a white bond background. A lot of times the scan image comes out with a reddish or pinkish hue, and I'm not sure exactly where that comes from, even after a calibration.
Ooh, good question.
It almost makes it look antique, but I want it nice and crisp and clear to reflect the original that just came off my HP plotter.
Yeah. It's all about the lighting system in the scanner. So for some originals, depending on, what you're scanning, sometimes it will add a little bit of a tint to the scanned image, Unfortunately, with that scanner, there's not much you can do. You could actually go in the scanner and set the scanner up for a better, stronger white point, when you're doing a color scan, but it's a process of trial and error. You scan it, you get that, pinkish bluish, you go back to the scanner, you touch up the white point, you scan the same original, and then it's like, is this better or worse, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's not the downside to that scanner, but preview is a good thing to have. So all of our other scanner models, because they attach to PCs directly and they're running scan software, that's the advantage to the other models. You can see what you scan and you can make adjustments to the image right there and then.
Sure.
And you may not necessarily have to scan again. But in your case, the only way to do it is to make some kind of adjustment at the scanner level and then scan that thing again.
Understood.
Guys,
especially if the scanner is calibrated.
There's one other thing to consider on any scanner: ambient light. If the sunlight is bouncing in there, it'll change all your white points. I had a guy put it in front of a beautiful window, and when the sun came around, all his scans went awry. So think about the ambient light.
I've seen that before myself. Both Todd and I have seen that. Yeah,
that's true. And with that scanner, you have a very kind of a short approach path, feed path to it before you hit the sensor. So if you're, if you're scanning somewhere that might be in a bright area, and if it changes, if you're getting that result sometimes, but sometimes not, that's where you would look for something like that as well.
Exactly. Yeah, but in general, it's a lighting issue.
Yep. And so I will try this. I work till wee hours of the morning sometimes, and so I will definitely try that with the different lighting in the office here. So, yep. And I have played around with the different settings. And if for just a simple line drawing, could one of you make a recommendation which of those settings would be the optimal? Because I've tried them all, and I don't see a big difference between any of them.
Well,
or just a simple line drawing. It's not an illustration or with a lot of fill or hatch or anything else like that. It's not just a line drawing.
Well, I think definitely, if you can, if there's no color, you definitely want to scan it in black and white, just to get so you're not scanning up essentially a black and white drawing in color. You're kind of adding
Correct. I try not to do that. Yeah.
But I would say that, and then just trying to, for most archiving, I think sometimes people get a little carried away with the high resolution. Large format's pretty high resolution as it is, even on the lower settings, and the 200 to 300 DPI is usually plenty for most people. And if you're scanning it, I know this scanner kind of only has a, low, medium, and high sort of setting. I think even on the low resolution setting in black and white, I would check out those results and see, if they're acceptable for what you're doing. And that would probably give you, every bit of what you need.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very good. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
No problem.
And, just as a follow-up, that's a nice little convenient scanner. It has an internal memory as well as an ability to scan to that USB or to scan to that internal memory and then transfer it over to a PC or a USB stick, on your network. So it's a real nice little guy for bringing around and for, if you don't need to see the scan as it's kind of happening. Well,
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for occasional scans. Yep.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you all very much. And so we're just a little over the half an hour. Thank you all for coming. And unless there's any other questions, we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. All right. Have a good day, everyone.